Greetings, YouTube. So I was poking on my phone this evening looking for popular movies on Hulu, and Nicolas Cage's film The Old Way came up as a recommendation. Now, I had never heard of this film. I'm a Nicolas Cage fan. I have often said that Nicolas Cage is the best person in the world at playing Nicolas Cage, and I truly believe that his entire life has been one massive performance piece, and that it will be released after his death. He will send a film or a video he released where he talks about the fact that that is exactly what his life was, one massive performance piece. Um, I'll be intrigued to see if I live that long. Uh, but this is his first official Western, which is kind of amazing to me that a guy that has been this prolific in his repertoire of film types, even though he's always playing Nicolas Cage, uh, has never done a Western before. But this is his first one. And this is a revenge film, and it's a classic revenge film, so you kind of know this going in. It was revealed that in a little blurb about the film that was from the recommendation I saw, so that I'm not really spoiling this for you. Uh, and as a uh, Western revenge film, I give this a solid 8. I was really shocked to see that on IMDb it had such a low score. It was like a 5.5. I'm like, were you people watching the same movie I'm watching? So yeah, I was kind of stunned by this. But one of the things I found really fascinating about this, and I would have found this fascinating if I had not been recently diagnosed as a person who's autistic, is that both the character that Nicolas Cage plays and the daughter of his character are absolutely coded as autistic. They have all the markers. His character even talks about not reacting the way people expected him to react, and paying attention to how people react and pretending to be like them because he just didn't and doesn't feel the same way. Like he just never knew fear until he fell in love. And suddenly this person became the center of his universe. And of course, this being a revenge film, and it's a Western, the driving force behind this is that he and his daughter are seeking revenge, and you can probably figure out why. Um, and it was handled so well, and his daughter's reaction to the world and the behaviors she demonstrates, the way she speaks, the way she reacts, her facial expressions. And in fact, there was one scene where she's talking to someone, and this person suddenly realizes that she's not reacting the way she should. And other people are more overt about it, but this guy suddenly, it's like it clicks in his head like, huh, yeah, this person, if they were like, neurotypical, would be terrified right now, except they're not. They're just very matter of fact about things, and they're very blunt and straightforward about them. And this is not done in a tasteless manner. This is they're not being portrayed as some kind of super genius or something. They're just being portrayed as they know they don't fit in. And in the case of Nicolas Cage's character, he used the fact that he essentially never felt fear to his advantage, and he just went out and became a really good gunman. He became someone that could just kill without remorse because he didn't feel anything. And he didn't do it out of maliciousness. He didn't do it for pleasure. He always did it for a purpose. But he did it without thinking. It was just, yep, man, this is what I have to do at this minute. Okay, it's over. Move on to the next thing. And there was no guilt, nothing. There's no regret. It was just, this is what has to happen in this moment, and it happens, and you move on. So very much someone coming from a world of trauma as well as being autistic. I'm not saying that a person who's autistic is necessarily violent. The reality is that people that suffer from mental illness and neurodivergence are far more likely to be the victims of violence than the perpetrators thereof. And he's not being this because he's autistic. He's just that he realized he doesn't fit in, and he just realized, I don't have to pretend. I don't I don't have to care. And he got really good at something because other people would let their fear prevent them from being as good. And it's kind of terrifying because of that, or somewhat reminiscent of The Accountant with Ben Affleck, which is one of the best action films I've ever seen. It's a slow burn, highly recommended. I definitely think that you should go see that film if you haven't seen it yet. And I put this film as a close contender for that representation of autism, um, and doesn't necessarily make them a good person, doesn't make them a bad person. It just makes them complicated. And in the film, he had turned his life around. He'd become a family man. He owned a business. And he may not have clicked with people. He may not have been like the social chatterbox, but he was able to fit into the world around him because he just pretended well. And that was taken away from him. And so he just went back to his old ways because those worked. And there's something pure and terrifying about that. I can both be appalled by it and at the same time respect it. I can understand that position his character would have been in from a very personal experience. And seeing that on the screen, and it was not done cartoonishly, it was not done as some kind of stereotype. Yes, it would have been preferred if someone who was actually neurodivergent was playing these characters. I have no idea if the actress playing his daughter is herself neurodivergent or not. I did not do the research. She's just a kid, so I don't know what kind of diagnosis she may have had or not had at this point in her life. I think she's like 13, so she would have been 12 or so when this film was made. Um, but she did the role incredibly well. It was a lot of fun to watch. Again, a classic Western. It was not overly violent. There was violence. It's a Western. Um, but it was not gratuitous. There's nothing in this like, uh, this is not a Saw movie. You know what I mean? It's not torture porn in any way. I would give it a solid PG-13. I don't see it as being R-rated really. Um, there was some language, but it was, of this type that you can get away with in a PG-13 film. It was entertaining to see at one point in the film where his daughter had to essentially role play herself in a scene to get information out of someone, and she doesn't know how to do that. She doesn't know how to have a conversation with somebody that would not be very obvious that she was not, neurodivergent. She couldn't hide it. So what she did was she just quoted something someone else said. So there was another character in the film, and she just read his lines word for word with the same type of inflection. And it was really entertaining because it worked. She suddenly just became this person having this annoying conversation, but having a conversation nonetheless. She couldn't do it as herself, so she just put a role on. And boy, could I feel that. So yes, if you like a Western, if you're a Nicolas Cage fan, um, I recommend this. This great film. I had a lot of fun watching it. I'd like to see if I can find a copy with some commentary track on that. That would be cool. I'll have to go poke around Amazon and see if something's available or it's going to be available. Um, and if you are yourself neurodivergent, I would give it a look. It was not done in a tasteless manner, but these characters are autistic, and it shows them how they deal with the world, and it's different. And some of it is done very subtly, and I really enjoyed that. Um, so, like I said, The Old Way with Nicolas Cage is an entertaining film as a Western and as a film by itself, and as another notch on the gun belt of Nicolas Cage in all his myriad acting roles.